Okay, this is the celebration of Juneteenth. And you see this family, they look relatively happy and joyful. And I was intrigued because I saw this flyer, but I didn't see much celebration going on. And I realized that a lot of the things that are going on today with the police killings and the murders and a lot of disgruntled people, the protests, who wants to celebrate? So I'm going to read to you the history of Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration commemorating the ending of slavery in the U.S. Dating back from 1865, it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed at Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. Note that this was 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official January 1st, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation had little impact on Texans due to the minimal number of Union troops to enforce the new executive order. However, with the surrender of General Lee in April of 1865 and the arrival of General Granger regiment, the forces were finally strong enough to influence and overcome the resistance. So there's a lot of reading here. I thought it was pretty interesting, and then I kind of went down on this article, and I will definitely put the title of the article in here so that you can look it up yourself. They were saying here that some of the celebrations had declined over time. It said that economic and cultural forces provided for a decline in Juneteenth activities and participating beginning in the early 1900s. Classroom and textbook education at Lewin of traditional home and family taught practices stifled the interest of the youth due to less emphasis and detail on activities of former slaves. Now, I'm going to stop right there because I've noticed that in schools, a lot of the things having to do with African American or black people, people of color, have been pretty much wiped out of some of the books. Some books still have some things that will talk about the history of slavery or the history of Harlem Renaissance, or it'll talk about some things like black artists, but you don't see enough of that is what I'm saying. And it's sad because we're starting all over again to go back and revert to the 60s, and it's sad. And so this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of police killings, we're seeing a lot of protests, and it's really troubling because what do you tell your youth? They're the future. What do you tell your children when they see all of this happening around them? So you see this woman here with her arms extended, and I'm going to look at this picture and I'm taking from it, this isn't over. You see Trayvon Martin, you see the protest, and you see people of different backgrounds. They're all seeing this. This is everywhere. Nobody is blind to this. People know what is going on, and it's very troublesome because these things that we're seeing are not showing unity, it's not showing love, it's showing destruction and chaos and fear and anger, and then racism is included in some of this, and trying to separate people and bring people apart instead of together. And so this woman, her hands are up, it's like, don't shoot. I have no weapon, I'm black, and I'm not a threat, but am I next? And so this is what I take away from this photo of this woman. She's crying out. We're seeing a lot of people being released, being let go, being acquitted, not even having to be held accountable, not even doing anything as minimal as community service or commercials to be apologetic for, not acting in accordance with a rationale as to why they're, creating this fear and this chaos of hate and anger. Why is this happening? Nobody is being held accountable for these acts of hate, these acts of racism, these acts of murder. It's blatant murder, and that's what it is. You walk like a duck, quack like a duck, then it is a duck. And I really feel for this mother, Philandro Castile's mother. She expressed in a video her real, raw, uncut anger. And you know what? She has every right. As a mother, I understand as a mother how she feels. I mean, if you look at this woman, what she went through, it was unbelievably horrible to know that a system that you've been raised under, that you trust and you feel is going to work for you, is working against you. And this is what black people in America have always felt, that haunting of racism, that it hasn't gone away. And it won't go away, unfortunately, because you have these people who are always making excuses and making narratives as to why they have a right or justify themselves as to murdering and shooting black people. And so there's been a history of racial tension in this country, more than tensions. And every so many decades, there's a boiling point. And when that boiling point finally gets to a rise, people have had it. And so I wanted you to look at these clips and pay close attention at what you're seeing in these signs. A lot of this is like it's starting all over again. We're having a repeat of history. And then, you know, what's sad is you have black people under these conditions back then who were willing to die for what they believed in. And you see these signs, you see the guns that are pointed at them. They're already viewed as, we're gonna shoot you, we're gonna maim you, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna murder you. And so we know this all too well. Our grandparents, grandparents, we grew up in this, and we know this. This is not unfamiliar to us. So you can't get on TV and tell us how nice the cops are, because all cops are not nice. They're not sweet. They're not giving us, you know, a pat on the back. All of them are not to be trusted. This is what we're seeing as black people. This does not sit well with us. When we see black people getting gunned down and murdered, and then the police try to pull up something in the past of youth to justify, oh well, he was a drug dealer, or he was something unrelated to what they've committed. So here's my question here. All of these religious people, and that also includes the black people who are claiming religion, which the religion they're claiming is not normally, if you really read through history, it wasn't ours. It was given to us. Where are they? Where are these people? Are they in these protests? I imagine some of them are, but not all of them, not enough. Now, here we got another disturbing story where you have a young lady, and I don't know enough about her situation. I know that they partially put a video out about her. It was said that the story of Charlena Lyles, she's 30 years old, her death was at the hands of Seattle police officers that set social media ablaze. So thousands of people who read her story saw her as another victim of excessive police force. Lyles was shot and killed this past Sunday by police when she called 911 to report a burglary at her home. So she was pregnant and she had 3 small children with her at the time. The initial report stated that she answered the door holding a knife, and at the end of time, no further details were released. About what caused the police to open fire, nobody knows that yet. Police did, however, release rather quickly the fact that she had a minor criminal record and spent 9 days in the city jail for obstruction of a public official and harassment. So this is what we're hearing. It's like the attempt to demonize a victim of police violence is all too common in America. So Seattle police have chosen not to release the name of the officers who shot Lyles. So this is what we're seeing as African Americans. What do you tell your children? What do you tell your youth when you see these troubling stories? And when you see people laid out on the ground and being ruffled up by the police and manhandled and attacked, and then in the media they want you to not express and vent your anger. They don't want you to tell the truth, basically. So they want to censor everything you say that has to do with the truth and how you really feel about these incidents, and it's disturbing. And so, how, as an African American or a black person, person of color, however you want to coin yourself, how would you feel trusting of law enforcement and judicial system who you feel is more against you than for you? It works against you than for you. Is not helpful to you, only to certain people of a certain economic status or a certain color or a certain class of people. And this is what we've been feeling. So we haven't been feeling exactly protected. And you have here in our government of America, the president says nothing about it. All he's worried about is deportation, money, and how he's going to get more money, and how he's going to keep others from getting his money, and war. So this is the times we're living in. So thanks for listening.